We're going to start in a couple of minutes. Just hold tight, guys. Okay, we're gonna get started here. Thanks everybody. For those of you who don't know me, you're very lucky. No, I'm Kathy Taylor. I'm the alleged social media insider for Media Post, and thank you all for coming. I say alleged because this business is moving so fast that I always feel really, really uncomfortable when people say I write the social media insider column, because I'm really just trying to figure this all out like the rest of you. Our first presenter today, I think he's got it all figured out, right? Yeah. His name is Aubrey Flynn. He has this really impressive resume. He started interning with Sean Diddy Combs in college, while the rest of us were like, I don't know, I think I was working at a pizza place or something like that. And he's basically been entrepreneurial throughout his career, and is currently brand content director at Blue Flame, and or is it the Blue Flame? I was going to ask you that. Okay, I guess we can go with either. He has a very interesting social story to tell about Ciroc Vodka and how they've really leveraged social channels in a way that a lot of brands can only hope to aspire to. So please give Aubrey a little bit of applause, and he's going to come up here and tell us.
Good morning. Thank you. That was very nice. My name is Aubrey Flynn. I work with Blue Flame Agency. Welcome to OMMA Social. Today, this morning, we're here to discuss Ciroc Vodka Rock Social. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. Right, that's great. So I've been with the brand for about 3 years now. When I first started with Blue Flame Agency, we worked in partnership with Diageo and the Ciroc brand. Social was very new for the agency. Digital in general was changing at a very rapid pace, as we all know. Back in around 2009, summer of 2009, the brand had about 20,000, a little under 20,000 fans on Facebook, and yet to really venture into social in terms of Twitter or YouTube. So it was very new for the brand, and it was a challenge that we welcomed, and now we're starting to see a lot of results that I hope to share with you today. So by starting things off with Facebook, over the past few years, the brand has seen some very impressive growth, especially in the ultra-premium vodka category. Among other ultra-premium vodkas, you'll see that Ciroc is leading the pack with about 1.3 million likes on Facebook. But it's more than about likes. There's more to this social media strategy than just amassing a large number of likes. So how does a brand like Ciroc and other brands that is very new to the market engage a social media audience? Well, we can make a few observations and see that user-generated content is a big part of that. Now, if we look at this sample post on Facebook, Let's make a few observations about it. Number one, timing is key. So this post was actually made at 11 p.m. So that's one thing to note. Social media is very real time. People engage at certain key time periods, and it can vary from brand to brand. It can vary from category to category. Another observation is that this post focuses on the fans. A lot of brands post content specific to their brand, not necessarily engaging an audience to participate, but more so just sharing content for them to see. Obviously, this is not television, this isn't radio, this isn't a one-channel conversation. So as you can see in this particular post, which is one of the more engaging posts for the brand, that there's a clear focus here on fans. So there's a fan photo submission, the fan's name is highlighted, and we're actually thanking consumers for participating in the conversation online. This actual post was 7% viral. So it really spread naturally and organically through likes, comments, and shares. So again, it's more about the actual engagement with our audience on social media than it is about just amassing a large number of fans or follows or views even. And as you can see, this slide, Ciroc has been very aggressive when it comes to the people talking about the brand. So in the past 7 days, as of about yesterday, there were 70,000. So in comparison to other brands in the category, you'll see that that's almost twice as much. So how do we drive that engagement? One way is presenting a clear call to action. As you can see in this post, like this post if you want to start your night with a Ciroc Revival. So it's very clear, it's to the point. If a brand is looking for likes or shares or comments, statistics indicate that it's very okay to tell the consumer exactly what you're looking for. In this case, actually not in this case, but in general, 48%. There's a 48% higher engagement for likes, caption this, and share. So using keywords, telling the consumer exactly what we want them to do, when we want them to do it, really works in social. You also note that there's a product shot in the post. So one observation, or actually research has indicated that photo posts receive interaction rates of 39%, higher than the average. And this isn't just for the brand, this is just for brands in general on Facebook. So let's move on to Twitter. Similar points matter here as far as engagement being the key. It's not necessarily about how many followers Ciroc has, but followers obviously is an indication of how the brand is engaging with consumers. We're leading the pack here when it comes to ultra premium spirits. But let's talk about how we actually engage consumers and how we amass that following. So again, call to action works really well on Twitter. In this specific example, you'll see there's a call out to actually retweet. 40% of the top performing brands on Twitter actually use very clear call to actions, similar to the one you see here. This particular post was over 300 times the normal reach for the brand. So this is an interesting example that I wanted to share with you this morning. The last day of the Olympics, Team USA won the basketball game. Huge conversation on Twitter, social media in general, about Team USA. How does a brand actually become involved in a conversation organically and naturally and actually perform at a competitive rate with other brands that could be potentially paying for the association, sponsoring the event? This past Olympics, Ciroc was the top tweet for Team USA. As you can see in the tweet, there was a clear call to action suggesting that consumers retweet this message to send a Ciroc and champagne toast to Team USA for bringing home the gold. There was a link Ciroc cocktail. 98% of top performing tweets on Twitter incorporate links. And there was a clear hashtag association with Team USA. 72% of top performing tweets on Twitter incorporate hashtags. So in this specific example, you see a combination of a few different tactics to achieve that engagement. So it's not just about Ciroc going on Twitter and saying, hey, follow the brand, but how can we organically spark a conversation with consumers that leads to engagement, that leads to sharing, that leads to discussion and conversation that will ultimately spread virally and encourage others to follow the brand naturally. In December of 2011, we launched a new campaign, Ciroc the New Year. The New Year is a huge time for the Ciroc brand. And being a part of the New Year's Eve conversation is very important. So how does a brand take a season, one as specific as a holiday that you can't necessarily own, and really convey to the consumers that you're an integral part of that celebration or that moment? For the Ciroc brand, it's all about the celebration. So what we did was share a new commercial. It's a 30-second spot called Luck Be a Lady. And it was associated with the hashtag Ciroc the New Year. It also included a link. These are, again, best practices. So having a clear call to action, including hashtags that are part of that organic conversation, including links that will drive further engagement after someone sees your initial communication, all lead to engagement. So in this particular instance, Ciroc the New Year happened to be the most engaging promoted trend on Twitter among consumer packaged goods in 2011. It was all in reference to having a real-time conversation with consumers about the new year, and really including engaging language specific to the conversation, really focusing in on best practices that Twitter, Facebook, YouTube all have, that consumers are really receptive to. On Twitter specifically, real-time conversations are part of the culture. And the numbers support that fact by saying 70% of top performing tweets incorporate up-to-date, up-to-the-minute content. So it's not enough for us to say, talk about something that happened yesterday on Twitter. That's like the past. It's almost like we have to do it right now while it's hot. In fact, there are other platforms such as Statagram that will give you statistics as far as exactly how far after your communication goes out that consumers are really interested in participating in that conversation. In some instances, it's minutes after. It's not even hours. So it's very important to know that social, real-time conversations are part of the culture, and we sort of have to adjust to that. It's not enough to sort of talk about what happened yesterday or last week and anticipate the same level of engagement. And again, the focus here is engagement. And one interesting statistic that we found was among the followers of Ciroc on Facebook, nearly 40% of them have actually retweeted the brand. So they're actively participating with the brand and not just following. You know, a lot of folks follow on Twitter and don't necessarily retweet, don't engage in the conversation. But that's one key point that really indicates that Ciroc is having an active conversation. So we're seeing similar growth on YouTube. 1.9 million views. Clearly leading the category of ultra premium spirits. But again, it's not just about the views. How can we drive participation? How can we encourage conversations with consumers? How can we really get them to become ambassadors of our brand naturally and organically through social media? This is a screenshot of Mr. Combs' salsa dancing. This particular video is a 15-second spot, and it was released on Twitter live during the Super Bowl. Now, Ciroc Vodka was not a sponsor of the Super Bowl. So going in, we knew we wanted to engage fans in a unique and interesting way. So when Victor Cruz scored the first touchdown of the Super Bowl, Mr. Combs took to Twitter and he shared this 15-second video of him salsa dancing. Now, if you're familiar with Victor Cruz, he's very popular for the salsa dance that he does after his touchdown. So it was perfect. You almost thought we knew he was going to score the first touchdown, but we didn't. So as luck would have it, he scored the first touchdown at the very beginning of the game. Mr. Combs Twitter, tweeted, and then right behind that, our ambassadors get involved. Other tastemakers and influencers in social media are retweeting, becoming part of the conversation. It was a very organic, seamless moment that took a very passive audience that's watching television at home and engaging them online in real time on their mobile devices. So the engagement here was really impressive. We got 11% click-through on mobile. And we also saw 25.5 seconds average time spent for a 15-second spot. Now, after this organic moment occurred, and we saw how receptive consumers were to it, at that time, paid media came behind it, and we were able to get reach and really spread this video and make it truly viral. So it's moments like that that organically, naturally connect consumers with the brand. We don't just post videos when we get a new commercial. Yes, we do that, and that's a great way to leverage YouTube. But having consumers sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting for that next piece of viral content, is the goal. How can we really get them to aspire to interact with the brand, waiting for that next tweet, that next YouTube video, that next Facebook post, in a way that's real to them and really entertaining to them. So as the numbers show, Ciroc is almost at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So this is a clear indicator that people are indeed waiting for what's next, waiting to see what's happening with the brand on a channel that doesn't necessarily post every day. So that's a quick overview of the Ciroc brand, how we quote-unquote rock social. Right. Thanks, Catherine. Thank you for your time, and I hope that was informative.
Yeah. Do we have any questions? Okay, first up. I just wondered, so is there any, what's the position of management at the company? Like, do they expect to see not only lots of users, but do they then say, well, where's the bottom line? Does that lead to increased revenue for our company? Is there attempts to draw, like?
Well, I think in general, the digital community is still finding ways to quantify buzz and engagement online and connect the dots to sales. What is clearly evident is that social and communications are driving people to action. As we leverage social in more meaningful ways on site, where people can actually purchase product, I think there'll be better ways to track the connection between communications and who's actually purchasing. Things like location-based social media are really opening the doors there. In 2009, Ciroc was one of the first brands, if not the first, to publish a Foursquare check-in here in Times Square on New Year's Eve as part of our campaign. We saw a 30% increase in Times Square check-ins that evening. Now, it could have very well been because there was a huge check-in published on a large billboard. It could also have been because of the number of people. But what was clear was that there was a response. Social media can indeed encourage consumers to act and engage with the brand in real time. So as we get closer to the point of sale in ways that are compliant, we'll be sure to have learnings.
Ray Swank, Sales Director, Mass Relevance. Can you talk about some of the legal compliance hurdles that you had to overcome and how you overcame them regarding social
Um, sure. I mean, I'll be happy to talk about any legal concerns thereafter. I actually have a colleague from Diageo here to help with those sorts of conversations. And if you want to talk now, Brianne, more than welcome to.
Sure. Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Yes, so Diageo, being in the alcohol beverage space, we're a restricted industry, so we have guidelines that we communicate internally, and so we're very careful about how we put our message, how we put our brand out there to consumers. So there's a lot of extra work we like to do, especially in the social space, to make sure that people we're connecting with are legal purchase agent of ours, to make sure the engagement we're having with them is appropriate. We take responsibility of marketing alcohol beverage products very seriously. So partners like Facebook, actually, and Twitter have worked with us to develop tools that we can use to make sure that we can age people, to make sure that people are the appropriate age in order to connect with us. Does that answer your question? I always have questions, but if you have one, pretty short. Oh, wait, got another one. Got another one. I'll just have to wait.
Greg Wood, Canisius College. I'm curious how your team strategized and made decisions relative to emphasis on organic versus paid advertising to engage consumers and build traffic to your page, and just some of the trade-offs that you looked at and what you ultimately decided there. I think based on a lot of the examples you use, I think I know how you're going to answer, but I wanted to ask you that specifically.
Sure. So paid, especially with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, has been new for the brand. We were accustomed to, just from a budgetary standpoint, testing all of our communications first, organically, to see what communications work best, to see what is really engaging the consumer. After we identify and confirm that certain strategies from a communication standpoint work and actually are engaging, then we take them to the next level with paid for volume. So Facebook, Twitter, all of the sites have been very clear that I think on Facebook the number's around 16% of the actual fans see the communications that go out without paid. So for a brand like Ciroc, we have 1.3 million. For us to send out one communication and have only 16% of the fans see that, it only makes sense to amplify it with paid media when you find out that a communication is indeed engaging. Does that answer? Yeah.
Well, I also kind of wondered what the role of traditional media is in all this. It was really interesting to hear you talk about how you managed to kind of get involved with the Super Bowl without having to pay the $3 million to put the spot on the actual game. But does traditional media play much of a role in what you guys do? I mean, do you do TV advertising, or do you rely more on social channels?
We certainly leverage traditional media, perhaps not as much in some instances, but we still run ads on television, we still run ads in print, out of home, and social. I think what's interesting about today's world is that 360 moment that we've all talked about as marketers for years has become so much more real with the advent of social. Because it becomes very real time now. So in addition to running a spot on television and in print and out of home, the timing is even more, it's even more important, because on social, those communications need to happen in real time. So the collaboration of the different mediums is very important in these days. So for instance, in print, having that QR code that ties to digital, even calling out Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channels in print has been interesting, and we're still testing how that actually drives engagement when it comes to follows and likes and so on and so forth. In the past, we've run end cards with follow us on Facebook, on television spots. So we're still seeing how the mediums work together, but it's interesting to see how social actually engages the audience do its 360 play.
Well, I also was wondering about, whether you have a really, differentiated, like, mobile strategy. Because, we had a panel up here yesterday, and one of the guys was very adamant that your mobile strategy shouldn't be different, should be all the same. And I don't know if I agree with that guy. And this brand seems very, like, very, like, mobile friendly. People are out. It's also, a younger target. It just seems like you probably had to think about this a bit more than some brands, about
Sure.
where mobile fits into it. Yeah.
Right. Well, in terms of mobile, it's certainly different. Consumers use it differently. So when a consumer's out and about, they might be looking for Ciroc Vodka when they're at a restaurant or deciding where they want to go even. So recently we launched the Black Oak magazine, the Celebration Guide, which essentially allows consumers to download an app, find restaurants that are reviewed by Black Oak magazine that actually carry the product. And then when they arrive, they can actually check in. So not only do you get directions while you're out, not only can it help you find the restaurant that's nearest to you, but when you get there, you can share that moment again via social with your friends. So the strategy there is different. People are walking around with a mobile device. Sometimes they're sitting at home with an iPad. So I am of the thinking that mobile strategy is certainly different than the straightforward digital web.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have one more question, unless anybody else has one. Oh, wait, way in the back of the room. Oh, hold on a sec. Sorry, I didn't see you back there. I'm getting my exercise. Thank you.
So social is real time and social is authentic, which makes it very fast moving.
Yes.
But it's also, especially for you, restricted, and you've got the agency brand relationship to work with. So how do you balance all that?
Really close relationships with our brand teams, our compliance teams, and ongoing regular training. I've been with the brand for a few years now, and one of the best moments is when we get together with the team at Diageo and sort of review compliance and all of the wonderful, intricate details involved. So just having that information at the very forefront of our communications, being trained on a regular basis to what the industry standards are, what the corporate guidelines are. It's been great. It's been a pleasure to work with folks like Rhiannon, who's here today at Diageo to help us sort of be on the same page.
So, okay, I'm going to ask my last question, if that's okay. So, obviously, you can leverage some celebrity here. That's obvious, but it's kind of interesting how often you're really, leveraging, events in real time and kind of nothing to do with that. And I kind of wondered, like, how much you rely on, leveraging, like I looked up how many Sean Combs Twitter followers there are. There are 8.8 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, probably went up during this. At least it did by one, because now I'm going to follow. But anyway, so I'm just saying, like, I wonder when you kind of say, okay, this is one where we're gonna leverage the fact that we have not just one big celebrity rooter, but probably a lot of celebrities that will kind of help you in your cause, and how much you just kind of rely on your intuitions about how to get involved in an event.
Sure. One thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about celebrity endorsements, ambassadors, if you will. Again, we all understand that not everyone that follows them sees every communication that they send out. So from an engagement standpoint, it's always great to have the influence of celebrity involved. And I think that could potentially be more important than the vast number of followers that they have. And I think that's why platforms like Cloud are really interesting, because they help us measure exactly how influential folks are within the social media space. So in addition to just having someone with a lot of followers or a lot of likes support your brand, like the gentleman said a bit earlier, it still has to be authentic. So not everyone that follows Mr. Combs is following him for Ciroc Vodka. right? So it's great to have someone who's influential behind the brand to leverage that influence in the social space within guidelines. But I think the more important thing is definitely the influence, because that drives engagement more than just knowing someone has a mass of followers, because not all of them are going to see it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've never seen the stat on Twitter about, everybody knows the Facebook stat,
Right.
or this crowd does, but the Twitter stat of like how many of your posts you actually see, I don't know, but it seems like it's a drop in the bucket, like even less maybe, but I don't know. Okay, so unless there are other questions, give Aubrey a round of applause. Thanks so much for being here. So our next session is going to start at 12:15. So we've got somewhere around 10 minutes, and I'm going to be the moderator. So maybe that'll make you go running through the hills. But no, we're gonna discuss Facebook's online ad network that doesn't exist yet, but I think we think it's going to exist. So at the risk of being highly speculative, that's what we're going to talk about. Thanks, guys.
No.